The role of tradition. I'm going to start by saying there's a thing I noticed in Western culture of hating the old, hating tradition. I succumbed to it. It made me disrespect my parents' knowledge. I think if I didn't have that problem, I would have been able to extract the good knowledge from my parents instead of, much later realizing, now I'm a lot better at when, trying to sift through what my parents are saying to figure out what's good in there, as opposed to, like, suppose they say something wrong in what they're saying. That doesn't mean everything they just said is wrong. Yeah. There's some good in there. And one reason to think there might be good in there, it's old knowledge. It's a lot of people worked on it. A lot of people criticized it. Now, maybe they're not criticizing as well as me, but they did a lot more of it. Some of these traditions are 1,000 years old. So it's a million people. Imagine a million of your ancestors. It's not a million, but thousands of people before you built on this idea and made it good. And now on the extreme other side of it, if I say, I just made up an idea 2 seconds ago, and I think it's better than the tradition that it's competing with, I think that's batshit crazy. Even if it was 10 minutes ago, So, there's this phrase I use all the time. Everyone uses it. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So even when you disagree with the tradition, don't throw out the good parts that are in there. There are good parts. Similarly, what we were saying earlier about, genes and memes, when you have a new gene variant, okay. When you rule out a gene or a meme, when you rule out a theory, it doesn't mean all of it was wrong. You can try to change the flawed component and make a new theory, a new version.
How does that apply in the case of religion? What do we? I mean, if you think about it, religion is supposed to be a monolithic body of knowledge. So it's hard to break it apart and say, I'm going to be keeping this and throwing this out. But at the same time, there are people who do attempt that. They would say, well, ethics seem to be derived from religion, and therefore we're going to be fostering that. We are secular, but the Ten Commandments sound like they are a good way to live by.
Well, I'll be clear. When people switch from Islam to Christianity, they are doing a version of that. First of all, Christianity and Islam have the same origins. They evolved from the same lines. Of course, they took different turns, but much of their history is the same. So for somebody that was a Muslim and now they're going to go to Christianity, they're doing some of that already. They're keeping a bunch of it, changing some of it. That's partly why it is very difficult to be an atheist, because you don't already have a system that you can just adopt. Although that's incorrect to say. There are systems you can adopt. The beginning of infinity is such a system, but not many people know about it compared to the number of people that know about Christianity.
Yeah. Leaving a kind of a religion and either going out without a religion or going to a different religion is definitely going to involve an attempt to keep some of what you already have. It's really hard to just leave everything behind and start anew, because after all, you're also talking about your identity. You're not just taking out a bunch of ideas and throwing them out and saying, okay, I've gotten rid of that particular religion. You're actually trying to actively re-examine who you are, and that re-examination is the difficult part.
Let's separate questions and answers for the moment, okay? Religion is a set of questions and a set of answers to them. And, the thing I just said was the way you come up with a new idea is, even when you find out the old idea is wrong, keep most of it, change one thing. The parts that you keep could be the questions themselves rather than the answers to them. So Islam says some sort of, let's just say religions in general say that, the God question is important. We should try to answer it. Well, And so when you were a Muslim and now you're not, maybe they still want an answer to that question. The question is still important. So they go seek out the answer. In their new worldview, that question is still important. In my worldview now, that question is not even important. Because it doesn't, in my view, it doesn't change anything about what we should be doing. Morality is the main issue.
Yeah.
Another way to say this is the way Eli Goldratt says it. And this is, instead of seeing it as particular traditions or ideas, it's certain people that have them. And what you find is, when we have improvements in our traditions, in our ideas, it's the best people that are doing it. They're the ones leading the pack. And then the question is, how do we learn from them and surpass them? Well, the only way you're going to surpass them is to learn from them and understand their ideas better than they do. So when Einstein came up with his theory of gravity, general relativity, it was because he understood Newton's gravity and Maxwell's electromagnetism better than they did, and better than everyone else in their time, and better than everyone in his time. Now, today, maybe people understand all that better than Einstein even, right?
I would definitely say that many people have. Let me give you a concrete example. So when Einstein put forth, actually two examples, when he put forth the theory of relativity, I don't want to go into a lot of details, but I just want to give the two examples quickly. He put something that was called the cosmological constant, because in his conception, the universe was stable, and then called it the biggest blunder of his life, because it turned out later on that the universe was actually expanding. It was dynamic. That's the results of Hubble. So Einstein did have an understanding, but he lacked some of the empirical knowledge. Another big example was that he didn't expect that his equations are easily solvable. And yet Schwarzschild was the first one who actually to come up with a solution, and that was a black hole solution for his equations, and he surprised.
Did he come up with the solution from some math he was using that Einstein didn't understand?
No, it was the same math. It was just that it didn't come across Einstein's mind that this was a particular solution. He came up with the structure, but the actual solution.
He understood the math problem, but didn't know how to solve it.
Yeah, but also when we talk about relativity, we think that it's Einstein. He sat by himself working on this, but it was actually a host of other people as well,
including mathematicians, especially.
Yeah, most important of whom is Minkowski, his teacher.
Oh, okay.